Welcome to 17 Strong. Victories don't come by accident. Here's your host, Steve Teixeira.
Thanks, Andy. Welcome to another 17 Strong podcast. I'm your host, Steve Teixeira, along with Holly.
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Here we go again.
I know.
We're doing it again.
2023.
I know. And we're going a little different direction to start off the new year. Why don't you introduce our guest?
Yeah, we have with us, her name is Gina Mendoza, and you work for Dr. Lindsey, who's an orthodontist in town.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Awesome.
But I think you need to preface it. It's Dr. Lindsey is not just an orthodontist.
Yes, he's the orthodontist.
Yes.
He's the man.
But Dr. Lindsey and Coastal Smiles, correct?
Yes,
Did I get it
yes.
right?
Coastal Smiles Orthodontics.
They have committed to fund a victory trip every year.
Woo!
And so we're so excited at
We
17
are.
Strong.
I was excited when Dr. Lindsey
know.
said it. He's
Yeah.
like, let's do more than just a donation. Let's
That's right.
do a trip. And I'm like,
love
all right,
this.
let's do
and,
it.
and so we're so excited to have Dr. Lindsey and the entire team behind us for that.
Right.
Because it's just amazing.
It is.
No, it really is.
What he does is amazing. But can we back up just a minute and just talk up to Gina? Like, let's get to know her. Let's see just tell me a little bit about yourself. Like kids, husband, where you live, all that good
I
stuff.
have kids. I have two, almost a 5-year-old. I can't even believe that I'm saying that. And a 7-month-old.
That's amazing.
I grew up here in Grover, moved to Nipomo, and then started a family. And then now I'm back closer to my parents. I thought like getting
love
away
that.
from them. I was like, I got to get out of the house. But now I'm back and I'm living,
This is
what is it, like 2 seconds drive from them.
I
So,
love that.
I mean,
Well, this is a great area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great area to
Yeah.
be around. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know you were a local girl. So that's awesome.
Yes,
That's really
no.
cool.
So
That's
graduate
really cool.
Nipomo High School?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
All
I started
right.
off here in Grover Heights, did the whole, then go to Judkins.
Okay.
Halfway through Judkins, my parents decided to move to Nipomo.
Gotcha.
Went to Mesa, then went to Nipomo, and then
Yeah.
just been
That's
here.
awesome. And so when did you get into the dental field?
after I had my oldest son,
Okay.
I was working in the medical field, still in the medical field.
Yeah.
But working in slow and the commute, I'm like, I can't be away from my son for that long.
Yeah.
And then kind of took a year off, raised him, and then
Nice.
saw this ad for Dr. Lindsey's office, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Dental field. I love braces. I had braces myself. My dad's like, well, I paid enough for your teeth.
Right.
How about we show them off and
That's
you work in a
right.
field where you can show your teeth off.
I
and then
love
that's how I started.
that. That's awesome. That's
That's
so
great.
cool. So how long have you been working for Dr. Lindsey?
I'm gonna say like almost 4 years now.
Oh my gosh, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. That's so cool. And so what is your title? What do you do for
So
him?
I am the treatment coordinator there. So I do all the new patient intake. I do all the records for him. And then I get everybody to sign up. So then that way I can have a final number for Dr. Lindsey at the end of the year so we can donate to you guys.
That is amazing.
That's awesome.
I didn't even know what your actual job title was. So
Yes.
that's really cool. That's really
Yes.
cool.
So I
Treatment
actually
planning is-
highlight you guys as part of our spiel when patients first come in, because you guys' poster is like right in the treatment room.
Yeah.
So people know exactly you're not just supporting us, as a business, but you're supporting, this other, organization who is doing something
for the community.
others. Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I think we're in 4 years now with Dr. Lindsey.
Yeah, I want to say it was really early on because she had said that Dr. Lindsey has had his own practice for 5 years. So
Yeah.
it probably, I think you're very close. I don't remember. We'd have to look back, but it's very close. He started right away. And it's just amazes me because I think what was eye-opening for me is that when Dr. Lindsey used to do monthly, and it's great and it's awesome, but when he decided one year to do his donation just once a year, and it was like around November-ish, and it's kind of like the closeout of the whole year.
Yes.
And Steve and I were floored. We were like, oh my gosh, like that was such a big number for us, I mean, you see it monthly, but it was so interesting. And then you're like, wow, you've done really good this year. And so we're obviously, telling people that, hey, go to Dr. Lindsey. If you have that, we're also on our end, saying because our Victory Trip recipients, they have children, they have, if they live in the area, obviously you're the person that we always refer them to. So it's
you.
so cool. It's so cool how the community works and how that all, it's just awesome. It's
Well,
so cool.
and we kind of tied it in this year because the recipient
Yes.
is actually one of your patients, right?
yeah.
And I remember her story. I remember her coming in, and it was just she was telling me, just telling me her life. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? Do you have any plans? And she's like, actually, I'm going to go on a trip with my girlfriends. And I go, oh, where are you going? I don't remember where she said, but she was like, I'm going to have fun because, and then she told me her story, like, I'm going to start treatment for chemo. And then it kind of hit me and I was like, oh, okay. So like, wow, she has a whole story and she's going to take this trip and she's going to go through all this stuff, from hearing from other people what they go through chemo. It's not easy. So I'm like, I'm glad that she's taking time for herself to hang out with her friends, because she's going to need that support system. She's going to have 100%. Something to like, be like, okay, I just had something fun. And she's like, my son, I'm going to do something with my son. Yep. All these things she had.
Right.
And then to see her leave. And then once they get their retainer, they don't, like, you don't really hear from them.
Yeah.
And so I knew that she was going to be going through treatment. And then, you just get lost in the hustle and bustle of life. Sure. And you don't remember to like reach out to these people, especially after something like that. You're like, well, what do I say? How do I even reach out? How do I follow up? And so then when she walks in through the door, it all just like floods back. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So let me tell you a little bit from my side, is that she wasn't the original person I asked.
I know.
Is that the craziest thing?
You had said somebody else.
I said.
And so when she walked in, I thought maybe she was coming in to ask something about her retainer that we had given her. So then she's like, I'm supposed to be meeting somebody here.
I love this.
Like, do you know who? And then she said your name. And she's like, Holly. And I said, oh, okay. So I kind of had to like switch gears because that's not who I was expecting after you had explained who you were going to have come in.
Exactly. So the original person that I was going to have come in, he was out of town. And I'm like, okay, because it was kind of Christmas holiday season. And so I just thought, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to ask Jessica Nunes. And I love Jessica Nunes. She is the ambassador for Day of Hope. Oh, okay. I didn't know her well. I just thought, I'm going to just try this. And I don't know why. I mean, honestly, I don't know why, but I know why now. Like,
it's like full circle.
Full circle. Like she's like, Dr. Lindsey was my orthodontist. I'm thinking, that is crazy because she didn't know that she was my second choice or my second person that I asked. And it just evolved and it was so organic that I loved how it happened. And it was honestly the first day that I met her in person.
Well, that's what she said. She's like, I've never met this woman before. And I said, oh, she's wonderful. I go, we've gotten blankets from them. They were like the best blankets ever. I didn't know if she knew.
I get grief about those blankets, by the way.
Well, I still have one, so I'm not giving it away. I have it. So don't think you're going to take it. So when she walked in, like, I was like, okay, well, she's never met her. Let me just like say what I know. Because I didn't know because you had said it was going to be somebody else. So I even told Dr. Lindsey and I go, I think the recipient is here. I go, but I'm a little confused because this is not who Holly said because I had already described what you had described to me to him. And then he peeks out and he goes, we know her. And I was like, yes, we do know her. I go, but I can't remember like how or like what the background was until he like pulled her chart up and I was like, yes.
Well, just so our listeners know, the young man that couldn't go because he was out of town, he still got a victory trip.
Oh, 100%.
Oh no, yeah.
So I don't want people to think that, he didn't show up, so he didn't get a trip.
No,
he did get a trip.
That wasn't what happened at all. That's right. Thank you for clarifying that.
It was just a presentation of it.
Right.
It was just a presentation of, it was like a Chuck presentation that we love to do at the end of the year because it's like I said, and it wasn't a number this year. It was just a victory trip, which was so cool. And we wanted to put a face behind it. And so that was just basically, we feel like, a face or a, picture's worth 1,000 words. So we feel like that was so cool. Yes. And she posted it on her social media. She was so excited. She was so, so thrilled. She was like, thank you for thinking of me. And I was like, thinking of you. Like, this is so, like, I couldn't have planned it any better. Yeah. And it wasn't me. It was literally just, I just, took a leap of faith and thought, okay, this will be great.
Well, I'm telling you, I was shocked. I was like, wait,
what just happened?
Yeah, this was not how it was supposed to happen, but let's just go with it. Whatever.
There you go.
I know. I forgot to tell you the minor detail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. But one thing that really kind of stuck out with me is when we were chatting about this, I think you had called me and told me the news about Dr. Lindsey wanting to do this victory trip. And we were just so moved by it. But our conversation, I remember thinking, I need to videotape this. Can I videotape you? And then I just thought we need to get her on a podcast because it was so powerful and super cool. So I would love for you to kind of tell us the story, however you'd like, about your friend. And I think it was 21 years old. It was like the milestone, and what happened in your life.
So I know we were talking about, Ryan's life being cut short, by this disease and, just not having any control. And I kind of brought it up, like I lost my best friend right before my 21st birthday. So we were planning our birthdays. Her birthday is in November, and she's like, please wait for me. We're going to go to Vegas. And I was like, okay, whatever, this crazy girl, fine. I guess I'll wait on my birthday, to celebrate with you. Well, 2 weeks prior to my birthday, she decided to go and hang out with a group of friends. And I don't like friends like that, I guess. I was very particular in who I hung out with. She decided to go out. She wasn't 21. They went out, were drinking. She decided to drive. And on her way back, she lived in Tacoma herself. She went and dropped every single of her friends off and got in a car accident a block from her house, literally around the corner from her house. So, totally just shook up my world. And the way that it played out, it was just so strange because I didn't know what was going on. I had seen her at work. She worked at Taco Bell. I stopped by there that night and I was like, hey, what are you going to do tonight? Don't forget, we're going to have breakfast at my house tomorrow. My mom was going to make breakfast. My grandpa had come into town. We had already set like, hey.
Because that was your birthday the following day?
No. We just did this once a week with my parents. She would come over. I would go over to her house, just to hang out. My grandpa was in town. Yeah, we were besties. She was just going to come over. We would plan this. Yeah. And I was like, hey, your grandpa's here. Have Alicia come over. Let's just hang out like we normally do. And I said, hey, you haven't met my grandpa. Like, come on over. And she's like, okay, cool. So I had stopped by that night, like, hey, just to remind you, I would always stop by there. Especially if she worked night shift. She wouldn't get off until midnight. It was Taco Bell, and people drive around crazy. And I always say, like, hey, be careful, just stopping by to say hi. And she'd be like, okay. So that's how we ended it. So the following morning, I called and called and called. She never answered. And it wasn't like her. And that night that I had seen her, she seemed off. She seemed tired. And I was like, why don't you just go home? And she's like, no, I already told my friends, this other group of friends. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Just rolled my eyes at her, just let her be. And I thought, maybe she just stayed out too late. We're all young and dumb at one point. We all drink. Right. I'm not saying it's right. We do it. I'm going to be honest. I did it too. We think we're invincible. We don't think anything's going to happen, especially at that age. You're already so close and you're like, let's just, go out and do it. What's going to happen?
Right.
We're all at that age. I can admit that now and be like, look back and say that's wrong. But it's part of life. Everybody.
Well, and I think to that point, the same thing with young adults and cancer.
Yep.
Nobody thinks that it's going to happen to me because cancer's for kids or the elderly.
Right.
It's not for the middle age or young adults.
Yeah. And that's why when Holly and I were talking, I'm like, you don't expect things like that to happen. And it's just so sudden and it just takes you back. So I called and called that whole morning. She didn't answer. I was to the point where I was going to get in my car and go over there and be like, hey, we had plans.
Yeah.
And you went out last night. That's not my fault. My grandpa's here.
Yeah.
He's waiting. We're waiting. And she didn't show up. So I was about to get into my car and I get a phone call from this number that I don't recognize. And usually I don't answer phone calls.
Sure. I know.
I was like, I don't know who that is. I'm not going to answer. Some reason I just decided to answer. And it was this man. And he goes, is this Gina, at the time, Gina Leone? And I said, yes. And he goes, I have, my friend's mom on the line. And I said, okay. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, oh, okay. But he didn't say where he was calling from or anything. So I was like, oh, okay. If it's her mom, like, I'm going to know it's her mom. So I answered and she goes, hey, Gina, I can hear something wrong. I just didn't know what it was at the time. And she said, is Alicia with you? And at that moment, I'm like, do I say she's with me because she's in trouble, she did something? Or am I honest and I say she's not here because I'm pissed off and she didn't answer the phone call?
For sure.
And I it took me a second to say what I was going to say. And finally I said, no, she's not with me. But if you need me to, I'll go to the house because she's supposed to be here for breakfast and she's not here. And at that moment, I hear this, not like a sigh, but just this like disbelief that maybe hoping that her daughter was with me. And the gentleman takes the phone away and he goes, this is so-and-so from the sheriff's office. Alicia got in a car accident last night and she had told her parents she was with you.
Oh, I did not.
And at that moment, my heart sank and I didn't know how to react. And I said, no, she's not with me. I said it again. She is not with me. And I said, but where is she? Because I need to see her. And he said, that's not going to be possible right now. We're trying to figure things out. And I said, well, which hospital is she at? The next logical question to ask. And he goes, she's not at the hospital.
Oh.
And my heart just sank. And I said, okay, well, where's her mom? Where's her dad? Where her brother and her sister?
Yeah.
She has siblings who are younger than her. Sister who was just starting high school. Her brother who was in elementary school. And I said, well, where's Adrian and Christina? That was my first response because I have sisters. I have siblings.
Yeah.
And I wanted to run to them, to their aid, because their sister's gone.
Yeah.
And I knew she was gone. They didn't have to tell me.
They didn't have to
They
tell
didn't
you.
have to tell me. For them to say she's not at the hospital was my sign that, and the sheriff's office doesn't just
call
go
you
for a missing person or for something like that, car accident. No, they don't do that. So they said they're at home. So I run out to get into my car and my dad catches me because I didn't realize, I was just trying to get to where her family was. And my dad grabs me and he's like, what are you doing? Why are you running? And I said, Alicia got in a car accident. My younger sister's name is Lisa. So he heard Lisa.
Oh.
And he was like, what?
Oh my goodness.
And then he like freezes and he's like, what are you talking about, Lisa? And I said, no, Alicia. And he said, get in the truck. I'll take you there. My dad had never been to my best friend's house. He knew like about where she lived, but we live out in the Nipomo Mesa.
Yeah.
There's just roads everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. It's
He knew
confusing.
kind of about where she lived. I had, explained it to him. My dad, has lived here most of his adult life. So he got in his truck. I got in his truck and we just drove. And all I remember is just showing up there. Wow. And my dad had no idea where she lived.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
And he shows up there and we drive up this driveway. It's a long driveway. And her siblings were getting off from the bus. And I see them walking up and they see all these people there. They knew something was wrong. Their bus stop was down the street from where her car was. And they drove by it in the morning, but the road was blocked off.
Oh,
so as soon as they run up, they knew.
They knew.
Nobody had to tell them anything. They passed by a car accident in the morning on their morning route to the bus, like from the bus to the school.
Wow.
So they went through the whole school day not knowing.
Not knowing. But they passed by the car accident because they drove by with the bus, but it had already been blocked off. Somebody in the morning had reported it.
Wow. And you don't know when the car accident happened.
No.
It was between midnight
because there's no lights on the road.
No.
There's nothing out there.
No.
And the crazy thing is she was driving the opposite way from her house.
Was there another car involved? No.
No. And the way that she sped off the road, there's no explanation as to why her car was flipped around the way that it was.
So she didn't hit a tree. She
hit a tree like at the end. That's what actually caused her to, pass because she hit a tree.
Okay.
But the way that her car was on the tree, there was no explanation for that. And there was no explanation why she should have been on that road coming the way that she was, because she shouldn't have taken that road to get home.
Wow.
It was just this crazy, there was no animal tracks. There was nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing
And it
that
was
anybody could
just
see.
a sudden impact that caused her to pass.
And she was by herself because she had dropped all the kids off.
Yeah, she had dropped all the ladies off that she had gone out with.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And what angers me is that to this day, it still makes me mad. And I'm like, I shouldn't be mad. But as a friend myself, anytime that I knew she was going out, I say, you call me.
Right.
You call me. You've made it to a certain point.
Right.
And you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. Call me. Or as a friend, hey, you know what? We've all been hanging out. We've all been drinking. Let's just stay here. We made it to one person's house safe.
That's right.
Let's just all stay here. We're already going to get in trouble because we're not getting home.
But still, yeah.
We're already going to get in trouble because, our parents are going to notice, obviously.
Right.
Why don't we just stay here?
Yeah.
And that's
you're
what angers me,
safer.
that nobody mentioned like, hey, we're already here. You're already going to get in trouble. And like,
let's be safe.
Yeah. Let's just stay here.
Yeah.
You know, and it just the way that it happened, I was just so shocked. I didn't comprehend why that was happening.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
it's hard
It took a really long time to do this investigation. The ABC, the blood and alcohol, you know, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they all got involved. And they started tracking her whereabouts and who she was with. So ultimately somebody did get charged for giving her alcohol, and it was one of her friends.
Oh my goodness.
And so they saw her at Taco Bell. They saw them drinking there. They saw this individual going to the liquor store, buying alcohol, walking back, and then them leaving the Pomo through the cameras.
Okay.
They found camera from where they were at, where they had been drinking and partying, and where, you know, about what time she left. So they kind of have this timeline where all of this happened. But while this whole investigation was happening, it just so happened that it was weeks before my birthday. So I remember she passed away on the 11th of March, and my birthday is the 22nd. So this whole week leading up to this, I was kind of like in a daze. I didn't know what was going on. It was so crazy how it all happened. And I don't remember anything like in between. And I just remember showing up to her funeral services the day before at this church where I was like, I had always had an interest in this church. I was like, oh, this is so cool. It was the one in Pismo, right there by the fire station. I was like, oh, I've never been in there.
Yeah.
Seems like a really nice church, you know, nice location. And then it just ended up being that the other churches that they were trying to go to, their original church, was being remodeled. So then it ended up being at that church.
Being at that church.
And I was like, oh, that's weird, whatever. And then on my actual birthday, I buried my best friend.
And you
I
had
am
plans.
so sorry.
We had plans.
You had plans. You guys were going to Vegas and you had plans.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How many years ago was this?
Gosh, I'm 33 now.
Okay.
So what is it? 12 years?
Yeah. Wow. How did that situation shape you to who you are today?
It just makes me grateful that I hadn't decided to go with her, and that moving forward, I didn't drink for the longest time. Wow. I was scared to drive, and that changed me. It really did. Even like with my schooling, I said, you know, I can't be skipping class just to hang out with friends, because at the end of the day, you can only count on one hand how many real friends you really have.
That's very true.
So true.
So after that, I said, she had all of these friends she went to go hang out with, and nobody cared. Yeah, and the one friend that did care wasn't with her at that moment to be able to protect her. I don't know if I would have been able to, but who really cared and who would have been there was me. Yeah. And so moving forward, I'm very cautious about who I have in my life and what they're bringing into my life and the significance and meaning behind that. I don't just let anybody in. Wow. I don't just, even around my kids now that I have kids, I'm like, you just never know somebody's intentions, if they're pure, if they really care about you. And, you know, with your kids, they're sacred.
Oh,
you don't
absolutely.
know. You can't just have anybody around.
Gift.
So I choose
the
situations I want to put myself in, the job that I want, the people that I want in me, you know, in my circle.
That's crazy.
My school, I completely changed my path of school. So I was going to school. I wanted to be an accountant, you know, and I changed that. And I was like, I can't be in accounting. That's boring. I'm going to be sitting at a desk by myself and having people interaction. So then I started doing business, and that's where I got my degree in. And then I had my son, and I was like, you know what? No, I need to do something where I'm interacting. I love kids. I love working with people. And that's where I ended up with Dr. Lindsey, working with kids. They bring joy. They're in these situations where they are
and
being
it's
impacted
every
by
day.
races, and it's different every day.
It's different every day.
You see their transformation, and I see these kids, and I see like, how's your school going? You know, kids tell us all their stuff.
All the stuff.
They're
and
like,
you
know,
see them
I'm
once
not
a
doing
month
well.
practically.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not doing well in this class or whatever. And I say, you know, you really have to try.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more than this class in this world.
Yeah.
If you pass that one class, that opens up the doors for so many other opportunities.
Yeah.
So for me, being able to instill these things in these kids, obviously not just like tell my whole story to them about what I went through,
of course.
but say, hey, there's other things out there.
I love
and
that.
with this smile, you're going to transform.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of other things that can happen. So get your teeth fixed, pass this class, do well.
Yeah. You're going to be a productive member of the society.
Yes.
It's so cool. And I do love too, because I'm in the dental world. I was in the dental world for years. And there's something about when they're in a weird funk of, hormones and all that other stuff. And then you give them this beautiful smile. Yes, you have to have braces for 2 years, but what's 2 years of your life? You have a beautiful smile.
And that's what we try to tell them. Like, it's going to go by fast.
It's going to go by so fast. And the cool thing is that I can see like in 2 years how their whole self-esteem will totally like it so changes because their mouth has changed, their smiles change. It has changed like so much for the better, better.
Yes,
and
you see their transformation.
Oh, it's beautiful.
We see these pictures because we take progress pictures.
Yeah.
If you see what we saw, it's just crazy.
It's crazy.
Just crazy.
I love that part of it. Yes. I love that part of the dentistry part of transforming, because those are the patients that you'd get really close to because you saw them once a month. You saw them and you saw this progression go on.
And you see them when they come in. There's some kids who cover their mouths.
Oh, yeah.
And
they'll go like this and talk. And
they don't even want to talk. They have their parents talking for them.
Yes. By the end,
yes. Or even we had this case where his mom was telling us he's being teased. They're being mean to him. And at one point, she was Spanish speaking. She told me over the phone, at some point during the consultation, can we have him step out? Because there's things that I want to tell you that I want you to tell the doctor.
Wow.
And I said, okay. So that's part of my job too. I gotta, take into consideration not just this child that's going through this, but the parents who are,
confiding in you.
And that they're fighting for their kids.
Absolutely.
And so I took the time, take the kid out, and then I go back in, and she said they're teasing him. They're saying all these nasty things. She was crying. She was actually going through cancer treatment.
Oh no.
So we hear these things and you're like,
yes,
you're already going through stuff yourself. You're trying to defend your kid.
Yeah.
Right.
So we step out and we do this, and Dr. Lindsey's like, okay,
we can fix this.
Like, we're going to fix it.
We're going to fix it.
That's
this we can fix.
Yes.
We can
fix. We can fix. Trust me, we can fix.
That's right.
And within a matter of 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
He stopped covering his mouth. He would come in. He didn't have his mom come in with him anymore.
Right?
Before, he'd be like, my mom needs to check me in. He wouldn't say anything. He would walk from the school
I love this.
to his appointments.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think it is so cool. It's like, it's celebrating, somebody that has, been hiding behind this horrible thing or whatever.
Been hiding for a really long time.
You can fix it. And that's what's so cool. And that's what I love about it is it does transform somebody and just their whole self-esteem, which is awesome. I love that about dentistry and especially orthodontics. It's amazing. So that is so cool.
I was just like, I need to change where I put myself. And I just remember me being in braces and how that changed me. And I said, okay, well, this is going to be something positive.
Yeah.
I don't want to work in a medical field where everybody's sick all the time. And people are angry. When you call the doctor's office, it's because something's wrong with you.
Right.
Right.
Something hurting, something's bothering you. You're going to get this big bill, and that you read that part too.
Yep.
And so then in ortho, it's expensive. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. But what you get out of it is so much more.
Oh, yeah.
So
me,
it changes your life.
It changed
it totally
me, and I said,
changes.
I need to do something that's positive. And so when I saw that ad, I was like, I need to do
That's
it.
me.
I've had
I love it.
a lot going on. And then my son, he's just like, Dr. Lindsey's a family man. So whenever I have something going on with the kids, he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I love that.
I want to
That is
circle
so
back
cool.
around because you said something so pivotal right there. And you talked about choices. Mm-hmm. And it's, we have a free will.
Yes.
Okay. It's the way we were designed,
Yes.
we were created, however you want to put it. And a choice is something that we make. Mm-hmm. Whether it's to go out partying or to do the laundry that day or to go grocery shopping or to get in the car or not to get in the car.
Yes.
People that get cancer or get sick, they didn't make that choice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They didn't make that choice. Mm-hmm. But you continue to say that you choose the people that you put around you and what you do.
Yes.
And it's so important for young adults to be able to surround themselves in those difficult times with positive people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
because like Ryan used to say, attitude is everything. And that will change you.
Yeah.
Because if you're diagnosed with cancer and you get, I mean, the C word itself
It's
is
devastating.
Yeah.
Life-changing.
Devastating.
It's life-changing.
Yeah, it is.
But immediately is associated with, not good prognosis for the most part,
yes,
for sure.
Yes.
But if you can surround yourself with people that are positive, that encourage you, that keep you in a positive mindset, it will help change the outcome.
Yeah.
Because it allows you don't have a defeatist attitude.
No.
You can conquer, have a conquering attitude. You know?
I feel like, mindset is 90% of
something
it.
to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have those people like, oh, well, tomorrow, the people around you, they're going to plan the next day. And you're like, okay, well, I have to make it to the next day.
Yep.
I have
absolutely.
That's
because
right.
they have all these things planned for me.
Yeah.
And I need to be there.
Yeah.
I need to do this.
That's
And
right.
that's something we learned early on going through this with Ryan is you don't look at the future. You don't look at the long term. You look at 1 minute, 1 hour,
Yeah.
one day, 1 week,
Yep.
1 month, 6 months. You just take it in steps. You don't plan all the way out. You just take it in stride.
That's it.
And, we were very fortunate to have very powerful people surround us, encourage Ryan. And it changes the way you get through every one of those days.
Yep. That's true.
Bringing it back. Yes, because even when you're raising your kids, people always say it takes a village.
Yep.
And
That's
it does.
true. It
and when
does.
somebody's sick or somebody's going through something,
Yeah. Takes a village.
it takes a village.
And it affects so many people. It's not, it's that one person, but it's all those caregivers around, like the ones that were taking care of Aaron and who was, it all circles around because it just affects. And I see with our Victory Trip recipients all the time, it's the family, and sometimes the family is so that the recipient will say, I hated watching my mom go through that with me. It was so hard because you really feel like your hands are tied behind your back, as you probably did when, you can only do what you can do. You don't want to.
I knew that I had to be there for her siblings.
Yes.
That was my number one. I go, her mom
Which
and her
is
dad
amazing.
have to handle everything else, everything that goes behind somebody passing. You have to plan that.
Yes.
And I go, but the kids don't understand that.
Yeah.
They're going through their own stuff. And being, a sister, and having a younger sister, I go, well, what can I do to make this easier? Or I don't know if it's easier, but just to be there for them.
Right.
Absolutely. And that is awesome because a lot of times when something like this devastating, the grief just pours over you and you don't know what you need, what you want, anything, but to be there. That was when I knew my true friends were, those handful that they just were there. It wasn't if you need anything, let me know. What does that mean?
No,
what does
they
that
show
mean?
up.
Like
They
you
show
show
up.
up.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. When you show up and you're there and you're just like, what can I do? While you're there, let's go get some fresh air. Let's go get, whatever.
I still
you
do that
eating.
to this day.
It's so
Her
important.
parents call me and they're like, where have you been? Why haven't you come over? And I'm like, I have a 7-month-old. I have a 5-year-old.
baby.
And I just went back to work and they're like, well, that's not right. You need to show up.
Yes.
And they look for me.
That's
Sure.
cool.
Same vice versa with them. I am
Absolutely.
Sure.
messaging the kids. They're not kids anymore.
Right.
They're grown now and, 25, 23,
Yeah.
they're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
But I message them and I'm like, hey, how's it going?
Yes.
Hey, let's have lunch. Hey, let's have dinner. Birthdays or whatever, just random stuff.
So
I had an extra
important.
ticket to Cambria Lights and my husband was like, nah, I don't want to go. Take the kids. And I said, okay. So I left my little one and I invited my sister and then I called her sister up and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, my parents are leaving to the casino and I'm going to be here. And I said, well, get ready. I'm going to pick you up. And she's like, well, where are we going? And I was like, do you want to go or not? And she's like, okay, I'll be ready. And then
I
showed up.
love
And I didn't
that.
have to give her any explanations. She was like, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
We
do that.
have a very similar
super
connection
cool.
with Ryan's friends.
Yes.
And there's a healing aspect as parents when you lose a child to stay connected to the friend group.
That's what my friends' parents say.
Yes.
Yeah.
They say, we may have lost our daughter,
Right.
but we are experiencing things that
Through
you
you.
are doing in
That's
your
right.
life. You got married. We saw you get married.
Yes.
Right.
We seen you,
Have children.
have children. and be there. We've seen you purchase your home. We've seen you, just all these different transitions.
That gives me chills.
And milestones,
it gives me chills.
and growth through you. And as much as it pains us to not have our daughter here, we have you.
Yeah.
And you have been there for our kids.
Right.
You've been there for us.
And it's a connection. It's that connection.
And
that's
for me,
what's
just
so
showing
cool.
up to their house too, it's just like,
It's a connection for you.
she's here. She's here. I feel her here. I see her sister. I see her brother. I see her mom and her dad. And they just embrace me.
Absolutely.
Not just me, my kids.
Absolutely.
Which is like this whole another thing. And my husband didn't meet my friend.
Oh.
We didn't go to the same school.
Gotcha.
We didn't meet until later on. So
Okay.
he didn't understand all of this. And they embrace him.
Absolutely.
As if he's been there this whole time. And they don't just ask about me. They ask about my husband. They ask about my parents. Like we all have just become, like we see each other out and they see my sister.
It's
and
like
they're like,
family.
hey. And then they tell me, I saw your sister. And I'm like, well, which one? I have 3. Can't just say I saw your sister.
Yes.
So it's just this whole, like, everybody knows. Like I got married. I was able, or I'm Catholic, so I chose them to be my godparents.
Oh.
For marriage.
Sure.
And so I told my husband, I said, I want to make them my family. They're already my family, but let's make it official. Let's make them a part. And he couldn't find anybody better. He
That's
was
amazing.
like, I can't compete with why you want to make them family and
Yeah.
to make them and honor them
Sure.
for making you
Sure.
a part of their family.
Oh, that's so
and so
cool.
I chose them and they were just like floored. And they're like, you chose us. And I said,
It's your choice.
yeah, I was like,
it was
why
the
would I
right
not? I go,
choice.
you guys, as a married couple, not just my parents' friends, but as a married couple and as parents, you guys have endured the toughest challenge that you could have gone through, and you guys managed to stay together.
Yeah, that's a
And
big thing.
are still
Yeah.
as loving towards each other and to your kids as you guys were before.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys have this void, but you guys have managed to push through that and stayed together during this tough, challenging time where that would have broken anybody else.
Oh, yeah. And the statistics are terrible, when it comes to that, for
and
sure.
so for you guys too, I see you guys and I'm like, you guys have made this into something so much more.
Yes.
But again, it comes back to the word choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I want to know like what your thoughts are about 17 Strong. And I know that you do this through Dr. Lindsey's office but I want to know like what was it like when you first heard about 17 Strong? And
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no
I thought
idea.
so.
I had no idea. And then Dr. Lindsey was just like, he explained it in his way. But then through social media, I'm like, okay, whatever. Dr. Lindsey's not really too much into social media. I always...
Neither am I. That's all
I
good.
always just like laugh at him. And, we always have a lot of younger people working with us. I don't know if you saw the girls over there.
course.
They're all much younger. And so they see all these things and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not that big into social media, but I know how to like look things up. And I'm like, a food truck? Let me look it up. Just things like that. And so I started doing my own research. And that's when I started like digging deeper into what you guys actually do. And I was like, oh, okay. They lost somebody.
Wow.
Their son, young, and I said, I don't know that kind of loss. I only know this kind of loss. And I was like, that's amazing. Like that you guys were able to find that strength.
Right.
And to choose to continue on what your son wanted. I know that he wanted so many more things. I know about, the baseball and that was his dream and this and that. And I said, although he didn't make it to be this major league baseball player, he put his name out there and he is something. And it's something so much more than just being this celebrity or this sports player. He is so much more than
his
that.
legacy
He
is living.
He is a celebrity.
Yeah,
He is
Because look
but
what he's doing.
not by the way that everybody else thinks that a celebrity should be.
That's right. That's right.
There's so much more than that. Being a celebrity, it's like, okay, whatever. You see these people, they make money. How much do you really see that they put back?
Right. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't say that they don't.
Yeah.
But are they doing it for the right reason?
Sure.
And the way that Ryan did it was so much more. And it makes more of an impact just because it's local. And I've grown up here my whole life.
Right.
And to see that somebody from here was able to do that while they were sick and have you guys continue to support this cause, it just makes it so much more. It just makes it so much more.
Thank you.
So
Thank
beautiful. Like I can
well said.
I can say that, but then when I'm I'm the mom at the end of the day.
And you guys
I'm
are there.
the mom.
You guys are in it every day.
Every day we're
And as
connected
an
to cancer.
outsider,
Yeah.
you see it as so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it
Way
gives
bigger
us
than us.
joy.
Yeah.
It gives us hope. because we're able to change people's lives every day by granting a victory trip.
Yeah.
And also cancer robs them of the hopes and dreams. And we're able to kind of put that back into their lives with 17 Strong,
And
you know?
I'm like,
So
I see
cool.
the pictures and I'm like,
I mean, how do you not
like, how do you,
smile,
yeah, like,
right?
yes,
do
you
not-
know that they had like this thing that they went through and you're like, gosh, that sucks.
It totally
It
sucks. Yeah.
There's nothing else. You don't have this choice
Yeah. You
to be like, you know what, I'm going to feel better tomorrow. I'm going to, pop a Tylenol, aspirin, whatever, and I'm going to feel better tomorrow. I'm going to push through this. How does that not want to defeat you or make you feel like I can't move on? I can't go on. But because you guys inspire them to be like, hey, there is light at the end of this tunnel.
Absolutely.
And I have something to reach for and I need to try.
Yep. It's
what?
so cool. I had no idea the need until we jumped in with 2 feet. We really didn't. We just thought, oh gosh.
4 feet.
4 feet. Yeah, there you go. And literally it wasn't until after, everything happened and we sent our first 3 and I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like this can change people's lives.
Yes.
And you just don't know the need that is out there until you do it.
So just the other day, we had a patient. We have you guys' what is it? That little pull up.
The retractable
the
banner.
retractable
Yeah.
banner with the
So
the
we used to
quotes
have
on it.
an Invisalign one on there. It used to be in the room, and it looks so fake. Like these people's teeth, and it's like that's not real. You can tell. Like I think they have too many teeth in there, anyways. Whatever. So
They added an extra tooth in that
because it
picture.
just looks too fake. And you're like, okay,
for
whatever.
sure.
And I would see it every day when I would walk in. And one day I walked in, and it wasn't there, but the one from you guys with our logo was on there. And I told Dr. Lindsey, I was like, yes. Like, why do we have that fake Invisalign one on? Not saying that Invisalign isn't real. Yes, it works. But the person who's on that, like when you see a commercial,
It's all Photoshop.
and you're
Right.
like, oh, whatever. But when you guys have that on there and it's real and these people's testimonies, and then people ask you like, where's that from? And then I get to dive into this whole story.
Oh, I love
like
that.
this is what that is. And people are like, that's here? And I said, yes. And we have teenage kids and they're like, hey, I've seen that logo on this van outside of the school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
And then
that
they start
funny?
asking questions.
That
And
is so cool.
You start explaining like, hey, he was a kid just like you.
That's right.
Same age,
So true.
same, and
Yep.
this happened. And they're like, oh, that's crazy. And he went to AG? I'm like, yeah, he went to AG.
Yeah. He went to AG. Yeah. Isn't
And
that
he
crazy?
did this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because
So cool.
kids are so self-centered on themselves and what Friday night and Saturday night are going to hold
Yes.
that they don't think that anybody else could.
Matter.
Somebody
Yeah.
my age, right?
Yeah.
Somebody my age would do this for somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also,
Yes.
we talked about earlier that you feel invincible, when you're that age. Oh, yeah, I can do this. I can do that. And I won't be affected. But like cancer, you just don't know. You just don't know. So it's, it is super crazy that an 18-year-old at the time, thought of something so big, so big, like out of the box thinking and what it is, the thought process and then what it is today. Like at the end of this year, the end of 2022, we reached, 29 states and they've traveled to 18 countries. Like that's insane when I start thinking about it. I'm like, those are crazy numbers because, it's just, and also COVID was in the middle of it. We're 5 years old.
In such a small area
Small
that
bubble.
we're like, oh, nobody knows about like AG or like Nipomo, Grover, the Central Coast. Because when we even explain it to people, they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, well, I'm the halfway point between LA and San Francisco.
That's how I do too. That's funny.
That's just what you say.
It
When then you hear something like this and they're like, there? Like what?
I know, right?
Well, and
which is so cool.
we had a business consultant a few years back. In fact, it was the COVID year. It was before everything got locked down for COVID.
Yep.
And she did some research on San Luis Obispo County. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I found so interesting is that in her research, she found that there are more nonprofits per capita in San Luis Obispo County than any place else in at least California. I don't know if it's the nation or just California.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of nonprofits.
That is. That's a lot.
We're not a highly populated county.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people in this county, a lot of organizations that want to help other people.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's what's so cool about our area is that they rallied around us, during this time of need. Our 501c3 was pretty much dialed in because Ryan was diagnosed and then he got re-diagnosed. So we couldn't do anything with our 501c3. So when he passed, it was already set, because the paperwork was done in 2016, but he passed in 2017. So we're on paper, we're older than I always say we're 5 years old because we didn't do our trips until 2017. And I just thought it was super appropriate to do that. But our community, there's something to be said about our community and how they rally around us and just, they're willing to spend money or to, give money to an organization
But
that
I think that's
really
what's so
is
special about our area. Everything is local.
Yep.
There's not too many big, like even stores that come here. Everything is mom and pop shops, and even when like Dignity came and bought everybody out, everybody was like, whoa, what? This big, this big medical, corporation is coming and like buying all these local, small doctor's offices. That shook everybody.
Yeah.
And so everything is local. So for, something like this, it makes sense that you guys are here and everybody, it's word of mouth. Even for us, I don't know. We don't have a lot of advertisement.
Yeah.
Everything is word of mouth. We don't go mailing out flyers. We don't have a commercial on radio. We don't have anything like that. It's all word of mouth.
Yeah. Even the big box stores that we do have support local, which is amazing. I mean, Walmart helped us out last year.
Yeah.
Subaru has helped us out in the past with Rancho Grande Motors.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of the big corporations that also have the ability to deal with local organizations. And that's huge.
That is huge.
Yeah.
It is very huge. But I do love the area. Obviously, you came back. You're like, I'm coming back here because there's something to be said about raising your family here and being that small community. But I just feel it's super cool to hear you say that, teenage kids and, high school kids come in and they don't know about 17 Strong. And you can actually say, it was a kid that started from this area.
He didn't need braces. He had pretty.
He did have decent teeth.
He had decent teeth.
Yeah, and I guess like a lot of times when they have like talks at the high schools, like I don't know if you guys have heard like every 15 minutes.
I have,
all of those things. And when you're sitting there, you don't ever hear of something happening to like local kids or somebody that you know.
Yeah.
So when like something like cancer happens to Ryan and his friends, you're like, wait, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Or like with my friend, like people actually don't drink and drive and actually die.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
You need to tell your story.
I do. I mean, everybody that I like know, I tell them. Any kid that I run into, like a family friend or anything, like, or I go to parties sometimes and I see these kids like sneaking alcohol and their parents are there. And I'm like, you know what they're doing and you are allowing this choice to happen and you can do something about it. My dad, I'm going to say this. My dad was an alcoholic. He's been, my niece, she's maybe like 12 plus years sober now.
Congratulations.
That's
it
amazing.
happened around the time that my friend died.
Wow.
And my dad, he was shaken.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, I go in and drink with my buddies and I'm driving these roads. And you could be driving from hanging out at Alicia's house.
Yeah.
And I could kill you.
Wow.
So that changed his life around.
Yeah. Well, he made a choice.
He made the choice to say, hey, like, if this can happen to this young woman.
Yeah.
Because she was hanging out with her friends. How am I going to be the one that it's not going to happen to?
Yeah.
So that changed too.
Well, I think it's amazing that Alicia changed so many people's lives.
Yes.
And now they're living differently because of it. So there's
and from
even
that
though we don't
on,
understand,
even us, like we try to have this dinner every month at my parents' house. And me and my sisters, we see each other all the time. We before I moved, we all lived on the same street. And our kids all grew up like their siblings. So that all changed for us. You know, like we need to take the time to actually hang out with each other, appreciate our parents.
Absolutely.
Just take the time, and the people that you do have in your life who have taken the time to be in your life as much as you are in theirs, you need to
absolutely.
Let them know
it's
that you
prioritizing your life and
you gotta love on them.
Yeah, make it intentional. So I think that's really
intentional.
Yeah. So I think
choosing
that's
what you want.
Yeah.
choosing to say, hey, it's okay. That person doesn't fit into what I want in my life. It's okay to distance them.
Yeah.
There's not a problem. And sometimes kids think that that's not, that you can't do that because you're being a bad friend. And at the end of the day, you're being good to yourself.
Yeah.
And probably doing them a good because it'll make them realize like, hey, why doesn't this person want to hang out with me?
Right.
Why are they
Right.
not wanting to do this with me? Why are they not going out and hanging out? And sometimes that's what it takes to just do that.
Yeah.
You know, and
I do feel like you need to be part of that every 15 minutes because it would be such a great
Great story.
great
And
addition.
I'm just barely coming to the realization, you know, that all of this has happened to me. It's hard to talk about it sometimes.
Oh, of course.
But like,
of course.
even more so now that my niece and my nephew are becoming of age, like my nephew, who's a freshman, he just became a freshman. And that's when I was like, hey, I need to stop being afraid of what happened to me or what happened around me.
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen to me per se, but just how it impacted me. I need to be more open about it.
Yeah.
And let people know how much it did affect me.
And tell your story because it's a story
It
and
is
people
hard.
can learn from stories like that. And I feel like
But you could save a life.
save lives.
Yes.
I mean, literally.
Yes.
I mean,
And that's why I was like, it needs to start with me telling my nephew.
And it
needs to start with me
boldness.
telling my
Yes.
niece and being okay with it myself. Because
Yeah.
for the longest time, I didn't know how to say it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to feel without like getting sad. And I'm like, wait, no. I'm still here.
Yeah. And
I'm
there's a
still
reason.
here. There's a reason
Yep.
why I'm here. Like you said, I made the choice
Yeah.
to stay home and to not go out and do this.
Yeah.
And I know what her family went through. I know what I
Yeah.
went through.
Sure.
And why can't I explain this to other people? Why can't I
I
share
just
this?
feel like this is going to be a huge thing for her to be able to be bold and telling nephews, but I think it's going to go beyond nephews
Yes.
and nieces. And it's going to go beyond that because once there's a platform that you can be able to share the story, it's huge. It's so cool. And I just am super thankful that you are open to come and just talk on our podcast about it because it's really sharing her legacy as well.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
because she changed multiple people's lives through that story, you know, and how it affected you. So
And
I
you don't,
really
you
feel
don't
like
realize that when somebody passes or like the circumstances.
Oh, it's
behind it,
devastating.
You
Yes.
don't realize it.
No.
Until you're put into that situation.
right.
Yes.
Like I'm sure you guys didn't have
100%.
somebody like super close to you. You've known of people who had cancer. Just
Yes.
like me. I've known of people who had passed away. But until it actually happened
Oh,
to me or
yeah.
around me, I was like, whoa, this is
directly
real.
connected, personal.
Like I had never had a grandparent pass away. I had never had an aunt, uncle, nothing. So when that happened, that was the first death that I had ever experienced.
Wow.
And my sisters and my parents knowing her, it was just,
Yeah.
wow, this happens.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is real. Death is real. And it doesn't just affect the family who this happened to.
No.
But everybody else who's interconnected.
Absolutely. Because I
Around
look at you like you're one of our Fort boys, which are or Fort kids, because that's Friends of Ryan Teixeira, because they could feel the same way that you do
Yes.
in a different situation with Ryan's having cancer, you know, like, oh, it couldn't have happened to an athlete, somebody that's healthy, somebody that's, you know, all these things that they, you know, encompass, but yet it did. And how did it affect them? You know,
'Cause when you
they live
think of
life
death,
to
you
the
think of
fullest.
somebody who's old.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
at my age, I was like, oh, it only happens to people who are old.
Totally.
People who have
You don't
lived their
think of it.
lives.
Yeah.
People who are, you know, just older. You
Yeah.
don't think that it's somebody young who's going to pass
Yeah.
ever.
No,
Ever.
you don't. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Well-
it should not happen. It's like cut short. It's not fair. It's
Yes.
so crazy. But
Even looking back, I mean, I'm thinking back to my high school days, and that was a long time ago. But I think when we were dating, and I remember you lost a friend. His was a skiing accident. I remember losing. I wouldn't even call him a friend. I remember him because he was on the football team. He was somebody that I might know passing the corridors in high school,
Yeah.
but it wasn't somebody I hung out with. And he wrapped his car around a tree. And you never think. I mean, when I was in high school, that ain't gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
I know how
drink
to
and
drive.
drive.
I know how to do
I don't.
this. Yeah.
I don't party. I don't. It doesn't matter. You could be just stepping out off a curb and get hit by a car.
yes,
Yes.
So
crazy.
to your point, tell those people that are close to you every day how important they are.
Yes. Yeah.
That you love them, because you just don't know the next time you're going to see them.
You don't know. You don't know. And the crazy thing that I remember about telling people that you love them, that week I had hung out with her. We were in the Vaughn's parking lot. We had just gone in to grab something, and we were talking about tattoos just like randomly. And I just remember me having this like, I don't know what it was, but something that I just like turned and we were laughing. I looked at her and I was like, hey, you know what? I love you. I was like, I don't think I've ever told you that I love you. I go, but I love you and I care about you. I was like, and yeah, we're joking around about tattoos, you know, whatever dumb stuff. And I said, but I want you to know that I love you. Don't ever forget that. I said, and I go to some point, I go, you're my soulmate. I was like, you know, sometimes they say like, oh,
Yeah.
you have, and I told her that week.
Wow.
And so that resonates in me that I know that
you
she
needed-
knew.
That's right.
Yeah. That you
Regardless of what
yeah.
was going to happen, I had my last words to her before, you know, all the messing around and stuff, that I had told her that I loved her.
Yeah.
And that she knew that she was loved, even if it was by me.
Sure.
Even if she didn't, anybody else hadn't told her.
Yeah.
I told her from
That's
me,
so
from my
cool.
heart, that I loved her and that she needed to know that.
That is so cool.
I think that's a great place to
That's
wrap up
so cool.
because that's it. I mean, that sums it up. You know,
Absolutely.
love is the greatest gift we have.
Yep.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you
Thank
so
you for
much.
being
Thank you for having me.
vulnerable and
amazing.
sharing your story.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, it needs to be told.
Yes.
Thank you.
The young adults and young people today need to hear that, you know, choices can change our life.
Yes. Your
Yes.
path. For sure.
So, we love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you
here.
so
Thank
much.
you for having me. Thank you.
You know, we're so appreciative of you, and
We know that things happen for a reason. She works for Dr. Lindsey. We had a conversation. It resonated with us. And so I'm super thankful that she's here and that she was vulnerable to tell her story. So we are just, we're ecstatic to just build a relationship. And I mean, we love Dr. Lindsey and the whole staff, but this just brings it to another level. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you for having me. Thank
and
you.
if you're local, you need braces, Coastal Smiles,
Yes, absolutely.
and Arroyo Grande. They give back
shout
to
out.
17 Strong.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right. With that, we will wrap up our podcast.
absolutely.
Again, thank you for being here. Thanks to our studio engineer, Nate Hand. And remember, attitude is everything.
You've been listening to 17 Strong. Victories don't come by accident. To be part of the show, make a donation, or request more information, go to 17strong.org. That's SEVENTEEN strong.org.